Soup. Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me have some more RPG horror stories. Speaking of RPG horror stories, I've yet to have any more RPG horror stories. Sorry guys, I'm not hanging out with toxic, problematic people. I don't exactly have any more stories to tell. Well, I mean, I have stories to tell, but they'll just be basically just petty tattletales over stuff that honestly has nothing to do with TTRPGs. And unless I have a good juicy story to tell, I'm just gonna keep it to myself for now. This isn't Gossip with Morrow, this is Tales Tomorrow. That's a second channel I'm starting on OnlyFans. Nevertheless, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Also, that OnlyFans thing is a joke. Don't take me seriously. Did I push things too far? Never thought I'd have to write this, but it seems I may have gone too hard as a DM. My party did the cliche thing and adopted a kobold. He's been with the party a good 10 sessions now, and I thought it'd be fun to give him a little progression, you know, some character development, and had a leader from his original troop track him down. At this point, the kobold was trusted to do watches, so I decided to take advantage and have the encounter happen on one of those nights. The ranger had a very high passive perception, and allowed him to make a roll to see if he heard Snotgud sneak away. He passed the DC and was there to see the whole interaction. The original leader threatened the kobold with death before feigning mercy and saying all would be forgiven if he would betray the party. The kobold hung his head in fear and agreed. As you all probably know, very typical of a kobold, especially one all by itself. Well, to attempt to make a long story a little shorter, if the ranger did not get involved, because honestly the former leader would have been too much to take out by himself, but when the aforementioned battle eventually commenced, I had the kobold step in between the party and his former masters, and reach into his pocket. The general called out, "Hurry up already! End this!" The general had given the kobold a corrupted fireball spell. It was cursed to turn the caster into a living bomb. What the general didn't know was that due to the friendship, the kobold had wait. So let me just get this straight. I need to interrupt like mid-read. Basically, your interpretation of character development for the little kobold is, hey, we're gonna turn little kobold into a suicide bomber. I don't think that's the kind of development that you want or your players expected. So if your players are miffed over that, I think, I mean, unless it's going a different direction entirely, unless it's going the exact way that I think it's going, turning the little tiny kobold that the party adopted into like some sort of a walking talking bomb with little tiny legs is not character development that I would prescribe. What the general didn't know was that due to the friendship the kobold had with a wizard that had roleplayed a lot of wizard teaching him how to read arcana, he knew exactly what he had. Before he could make his move, however, the ranger unleashed the attacks, killing him, and the battle went on. The rogue asked to check the body of the kobold, finding in him not only the scroll, but a goodbye note encased in a fireproof vial. Wait, so the little bomb on legs had time to prepare a farewell note and put in the flame-resistant vial? Oh, that's I guess development, but also what? The kobold intended to take himself out along with the enemy party. The wizard is incredibly angry at me, as well as the ranger. Did I go too far? Should I retcon this? If all of your players are immediately against this, then yeah, I think I dare to say you probably did something wrong. If not the way you set up the whole thing. I mean, the setup itself, I guess, makes sense, but maybe the execution, right? In your mind of minds, you had a specific way that's gonna plan out. The kobold is gonna turn against the big boss and it's gonna self-immolate itself and explode itself in a fiery ball of death and destruction just to protect the party. And that's well and good and awesome and everything, but I feel like you kind of maybe should have communicated that a little bit more in detail. That, or I don't know, if I was a player and suddenly the kobold that we spent a lot of time with wanted to like betray the party, and one of the players knew about betraying the party and was engaged in the attack to try to defeat the boss and stuff, yeah, I think that would kind of put me into a bit of a you kind of putting the player into a corner. Do you defeat the kobold that is clearly going to blow you up, or do you not do that? I mean, it'd be one thing if, let's say, for example, the player was able to roll insight to see that the kobold is trying to deceive the boss and stuff, you know, something like that, something of that sort of nature, you know, something along the lines of that that, but this is I feel like you led the players on. I think that's the best way to call it, is you literally led the players on to believe that one thing is gonna happen, but instead it's like, uh-oh, subversion of expectations, this other thing happened, and the kobold was a good guy the whole time. But now the party has to feel bad because, I mean, either way, whether the ranger kills the kobold or the kobold just blows itself up, either way the kobold would die. I think the party would be sad and upset over the whole situation regardless. If one of my players adopted a kobold, you know what they do? They would throw everything in the kitchen sink to protect the kobold. Once my players have a fixation for protecting something cute and adorable in their party, or something, you know, not as strong as them, they throw everything to protect them. Everything, especially if they like the NPC, they throw the kitchen sink and everything at them, dude. My players are hella dedicated to protecting things that they're allies with, or things that they like a lot, and they'll fight tooth and nail to make sure that one thing survives, including putting themselves in danger. I would say talk to your players and figure out with them on what you guys should do, and if you in their eyes messed up in a situation, and if they say yes, please retcon it and maybe have some sort of a different twist to it or something, or maybe the kobold survives with barely any HP left over or something. I feel like you put your ranger into a corner and the ranger didn't know what to do or something. We're missing some context for it. I don't know. Maybe you handled it well and the players just overreacted or something, but it really sounds like maybe you kind of went a little bit too far with that. Either way, let's get to the next story for today. My terrible, awful DM that hated my character and coddled racists. After commenting on another post, I was asked to share my story, so here I am. Posting this on my main because screw it, we ball. Names change, events heavily altered, but even if my DM finds this, it's been years and screw him. This is a saga in several parts, but I'll start in the middle and the straw that broke the camel's back for this online D&D campaign. Relevant characters: Soren, me, Drow Rogue; Gilfie, DM's golden player, human sorcerer. If it adds context when this happened, I was fresh out of high school, same age range as the other players. DM is mid-30s. The actual setting of the campaign doesn't matter that much. The DM was a pretty crappy storyteller and writer anyway. Things happened because they needed to, and plot happened because of plot, yada yada. What's important is that in this fairly generic setting, I, of course, being a drow, was heavily discriminated against. That's fine. I know D&D lore. I don't like fantasy racism, but it is what it is. Problems immediately started occurring when I began to notice a pattern with NPC interactions. Now, keep in mind, Soren was a neutral good hero character, and all he wanted to do was do good, help the innocent, and be a real hero like his father in his backstory. So he was never antagonistic, starting fights, being aggressive, heckling vendors for discounts. You get the gist. What began to happen was a series of events that I could describe as follows. NPC: blah blah racist things about Drow. Hey, that's very rude. Please don't say that. You don't even know me. You wanna fight? Who are the guards going to believe when they come? Me or you filthy drow? Every game is going to handle these kind of things differently, especially fantasy racism, but honestly, from the general interaction right then and there, it just sounds like maybe you just had like a antagonistic person that may eventually change their mind about your character later on as they see the actual heroics. Maybe they'll get to save the guy out of like a tavern fire or a goblin attack or something along the lines of that. I think fantasy racism can be okay in a game as long as it serves a purpose and a plot to, I don't know, be some sort of a plot device for the players to, I guess, fight against or try to change expectations or something. Like, let's say, for example, listen to me for a moment before, you know, obviously I understand everybody feels different about fantasy racism, and if you don't want to have that in your game, that's completely fine, you don't have to. But in my opinion, let's say, for example, a party enters into a town that is being commonly swindled by thieves, murderers, and other snake oil salesmen, and some of them happen to be tiefling. And if I come in there as Morrow and people see me as a tiefling, they're gonna be like, oh great, another swindler. Puh, I want to avoid that guy, which is understandable. They got swindled a lot. And I mean, even Morrow would not trust another tiefling just because Morrow is Morrow. And then the party together ends up uncovering that maybe there's like a thieves guild that's full of a bunch of tieflings from a neighboring town, or maybe like from a different continent entirely that set up shop as of late, and been basically pilfering off of these kind people kind of turned them a little bit sour. Combat ensues, intrigue ensues, the thieves are defeated, the party tiefling's name is finally cleared, and suddenly people are like, wait a minute, so that's what's been going on. This is a whole ploy. Well, I feel like a dum-dum now. Sorry, tiefling man. I didn't mean to be a dick to you. We've just been dealing with those other assholes and just kind of happened. In that situation, you have a situation happen where the fantasy racism is more like a plot point, but as it gets resolved, it kind of dissipates and goes away and doesn't become as drastic anymore. Problem solved, people are nice and they see Morrow as a hero or something. Ha! Who am I kidding? Morrow is not a hero. But if, let's say, for example, this entire game just has everybody hates Drow, the game, then that doesn't sound like a fun universe to be in. Is the same universe would be like everybody hates magic? Okay, well, DM, if you were to tell me everybody hates magic, then I wouldn't have made a magic user. If DM were to tell me everybody hates Drow, I probably wouldn't have made a Drow. I probably would have made something else that I don't have to deal with this antagonistic nonsense all the time. Because hurdles for the sake of hurdles suck, but hurdles for the sake of overcoming them to get a better outcome, that is game design, and I love it. This happened repeatedly in almost every city. The first several times I shrugged it off and let it go. Then I got tired of that after months of this and started rebuking and getting more aggressive. To which I was then punished by either the surrounding NPCs assuming my fault, or the guard would tell me off for causing problems. This never changed. I never got any catharsis or recognized as the hero I was trying to be. No, by the end of the campaign, I was still the Drow troublemaker and bad egg of the party. DM did an incredible job of simulating discrimination, because by the end of the campaign, I felt like trash, and that no matter what I did, society rewards racists and would never hear my side of the story. So good job there, I guess. Any achievement of Soren was really the party's achievement, and any achievement as a party was because of them, and I may have helped a little bit. If your whole purpose is to literally just create a hurdle for the player just for the sake of being a hurdle, everybody else is just going through straightaways and the one player has to jump over a hurdle and climb over a hurdle just for the sake of doing so, that sucks. That's not game design, that's literally just turning up difficulty to 11 with no reward in the slightest. If your DM were to tell you, hey, you probably shouldn't make a Drow because everybody here hates Drow, that probably would have saved you so much of your patience. You could have made an elf or a furbolg or literally anything else that doesn't have to be discriminated at every single turn or be screwed over in some specific way. DMs are put in fantasy racism for the sake of a hurdle, like not a hurdle, but like for the sake of a plot and a quest that needs to be resolved to get a better outcome. That's good. That's good game design. That's good writing, because at that point it has some sort of development. But DMs are put in this hurdle, like bunch of racism against the Drow, for the sake of just being a hurdle, just because with no outcome and no improvement later on and no development. That DM that just sucks, and you probably shouldn't play with that DM. It's the same DMs that make it so that, oh, everybody hates magic, everybody's scared of magic. So if a wizard comes in casting prestidigitation because they want to flavor up the coffee to be a little bit more sweet and nutmeggy, suddenly they're the devil just because of that. That's dumb. That's just dumb design. That's just dumb writing. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. There's no point of playing a game like this if you're just gonna be playing for the sake of hurdles. It's like if you decided to take a stroll on the beach, but right before that you found a tiny little crab with a big old claw, and you put that crab pincher right on your nipple or your nutsack or whatever other body part just so you can feel pain while walking through. It's pain for the sake of pain. It's hurdle for the sake of hurdle. It's trouble for the sake of trouble with no reward and no rhyme or reason to it, and it sucks. It gets worse. The DM just hated my character. I could tell. This is because of the treatment of Soren versus Gylfi. Now keep in mind, I had no malice against the player. I love Gylfi's player. He's a very close friend of mine. He plays in campaign currently, and I'm even attending his wedding. I also had nothing against Gylfi. Gylfi was a lovely character that I enjoyed spending time and role-playing with. The problem is that the DM clearly favored anything Gylfi wanted to do and treated her like the main character of the campaign. How do I know? This is how. The fact that you had to mention her makes me think that maybe this DM is one of those insults like, waifu for life. Yeah, the waifu character can have anything you want, but the stinky drow man can't have anything. You gotta get treated like a stinky drow that you are. Gylfi got an entire arc of the campaign dedicated to her and her backstory with all her backstory characters. That's not outlandish. That's something I do as a DM. I want players to feel special and have the opportunity to be their main character for a little bit. Because of how good her stuff was, I was ready for my turn. You're not getting that. Listen, at the end of the day, Gylfi gets everything, whether it's because the DM really likes the character, really vibes with Gylfi as a player, or just was like, oh my god, Gylfi waifu. Some people actually unironically get so obsessed over somebody being the waifu or husbando. We've read so many stories about a DM obsessing, not about the player even, but the player character, sometimes the player, but the player character, and wants the player and the player character feel special, just because they're like the waifu or husbando and stuff. For whatever reason, they just don't like your character, or maybe the guy just doesn't like you. That also could be a possibility. Maybe the guy just really doesn't like you specifically, something about you. I don't know. How is the DM with you outside of games? Quick backstory. Soren was a rogue that belonged to a small gang of Robin Hood type characters that all had names, descriptions, small backstories, you name it, they had it. I went hard with my backstory because I was so excited for this game and to play in it. Before leaving the gang, they were prepped to make big moves and really make a change in society, and Soren was ready to reunite with them and see what they were up to. We traveled to Soren's backstory city, and he finds his gang of noble thieves. They're in a dank basement in what amounts to be decrepit, bombed out shelter. Cool. Soren goes in. Hey guys, what have you been up to in last year? Nothing really. Okay, is there anything you're planning? Maybe a heist of some kind, or theft of an art piece or artifact? Stealing from oppressive rich and giving to the poor? Nah, not really. You can come back later though. That was it. Nothing. Literally nothing. We gotta hang out in my backstore for 3 sessions, did screw all, my gang did nothing, said goodbye, and then we're on next arc. Gylfi got at least 2 or 3 months worth of sessions devoted to her arc. At this point, I was just burning with disdain and frustration. I was tired of this game. Okay, well maybe your DM just doesn't like you in general. I don't know. Does your DM actually like you? Why are you playing with this DM if that's the only thing they're gonna do for your character and backstory? That sounds lame as hell. Why would you want to stay with that? Does your DM hate you? Because I feel like your DM kind of hates you. I received some crazy elaborate backstories from my players, and yes, having like a whole gang to deal with and having names and stories and plots and stuff like that, especially if your players want to do some sort of like a heist shady stuff where clearly like law kind of matters and everything. I mean, it makes it exciting and everything. Makes me a little bit concerned, sure, but I trust my players to be able to like handle things properly and just react as they do their actions. But in this situation, I kind of just feel like your DM just doesn't like you, or they just don't know how to handle your stuff, or maybe they, like I said, maybe they just have a crush on Gylfi or something, and they were like, oh my god, I get to play with Gylfi waifu, oh yeah, hell yeah. And then when they see you, it's like, oh yeah, you as well here, hi, hello. Maybe your DM just doesn't like you or something, I don't know. You may ask, why didn't you leave or speak up? That was my second time playing D&D, and my first time in a real long-term campaign. I also love playing with my friends and their characters, so I just bottled it up. Thought that maybe it was just me. Oh, you sweet summer child. I've fully been where you are. I've never had a DM that completely mistreated my character and stuff, but I've played with DMs that after a while, they would just kind of get bored with my player character storyline and would just kind of forget it for preference of somebody else, and then I just would never hear from a DM again. Like, okay, so to explain a little bit, there was a DM that was originally assigned to, like, my character was assigned to a DM in a group from a previous RPG, the RPG horror story that I already told. And then another DM was assigned, and then that DM couldn't do anything because he got busy with IRL, and then I was assigned back to the initial DM, and then there was a little bit of cool story moments, and I was kind of excited and cool to see what would happen, and then nothing ever happened. And then me and Micah, we were assigned to the same DM. We started asking another DM if we could maybe have something cool going on, and maybe toss some ideas around of what kind of things we could do on the, you know, in the world that we're in, and then nothing ever happened from there. Things just kind of stagnated, and you know, now it's behind us. Now we just, Micah and I write stuff for each other, basically. He writes for Morrow, I write for his character, and we just do that, and it kind of works itself out. It's actually kind of nice, honestly. I like the way it's right now. What I'm saying is it was just kind of messy, and I kind of feel like, yeah, it really sucks being in this situation, and part of you kind of wants to just stick around because you invested so much time in it. It's like, there's no way it's just happening here, right? There's no way. You don't want to like assume that something is specifically being done badly towards you, right? You don't assume the worst out of people, and I've been there, but sometimes the reality is just that. Like, you see already how Gylfi is getting all the story arcs, and yours is, hey, what are you guys doing? Nothing. You guys doing anything else at all? You're not doing any heists? No. Okay, when should I come back? Later. And that's your whole story arc. Like, dude, if that happened to me, man, that would suck. That would suck. I'll probably want to talk to the DM and say, hey, so what gives? Am I not gonna be able to do like any high stuff with my party? Maybe? I don't know, man. Honestly, I feel like this was the moment to start considering about leaving the game. I don't think this DM vibes with you in the slightest. The next insane thing that happened, something that should have torpedoed the campaign, came a little after halfway through. There we were, going through one of the major cities on a quest. We need to travel through the bad side of the city to get to our goal. So we're on guard to the slums. We're approached by a group of thugs. They accost us and we stand our ground, but don't start a fight. They seem to take the hint and let us pass. As we pass, the lead thug reaches out and gropes Gylfi. At that point, I turned and said, I take out my dagger and stab him in the chest. No, I don't care if non-lethal would have been better or more heroic option. A man just groped my party member, he is dead. So we start a fight. I of course miss my roll, so I don't get to freaking stab the bastard because the DM made me roll for the attack. Can't even have that, I guess. So after we win that fight, which mind you had a battle map, so it was planned in some way, and we suddenly fell upon by the guards. Just happened to be patrolling near the part of the slums and dangerous area of the city. So we get chased, and it doesn't matter how good we roll, we're captured. Then we're extorted to not do the main quest and instead do a quest for the police chief. I get what the DM was going for, but in all honesty, what it felt like it was, hey, if you just let it go and let your party member get groped, you'll be doing the main quest right now, not be stuck doing a stupid side quest or be in trouble. Which makes me sick just typing it out, but that is legitimately what it felt like at the time. Now, I'll give no quarter to people who will call my character slurs for existing or who will grope and sexually assault my party members. Apparently that makes me difficult and a loose cannon that you just learn to let things go. Oh well. This is a setup. This is a setup the DM specifically set up as a trap in order to screw you guys over and to punish you in some capacity and in some way. It'd be one thing if, let's say, for example, your character was just a murder, hobo, stabby kind of guy, got accosted by thugs and immediately started stabbing. But no, the world acted, your player character acted in turn because your party member got accosted, and then the world responded with, I guess you're just an idiot and you're gonna get jailed because you shouldn't have done anything in the first place. Can you just not do things in this game? Can you just not do things in this game? Is that basically what the DM is trying to say? Trying to engage in the world and trying to respond in any capacity as a player character and do things in character is a bad move. You can't react how you want to react. You have to read how the DM wants you to react and then try to react accordingly. Oh, you stabbed the thug that was groping your party member? Well, now everybody is punished because it's all on you. That is stupid. That is dumb as hell. You're acting in character and somebody's accosting your party member that you are going to defend 100%. The guards coming in to break up a fight, that'd be one thing, but to immediately chase you guys down and immediately blame on you guys, that's insane. And the DM even set up a whole battle map just for this, so they wanted this event to happen. They wanted this thing to happen. What was the point of it? It would be one thing, let's say, for example, if working for the guard chief, like the chief of the guard, was some sort of a continuation and extension towards the main plot, but if it's not, then what's the point of even doing this in the first place? Nothing but a setup. This is literally a setup. The DM is plotting a setup to screw you guys over, and because he's trying to poke the bear being you. The straw that actually broke the camel's back came in the final arc of the campaign. Makes me seethe with anger just thinking about it. Here's how the setup goes. As a party, we're to infiltrate a fancy gala and discover the secret plan of the BBG hidden on a painting in the most secure guarded part of the gala. Excellent. I'm a rogue. I'm built for this. The party agrees that I'm built for this. Soren is given the mission. Infiltrate and get the plans while the party distracts the partygoers and guards. He is given the special code reader that will allow him to record the plans as it can't be seen by the naked eye. So planning out, my idea was this. Since it was dark and the outside of the building was barren, I will leave out one of the windows, scale to the other Sam Fisher solid snake style, sneak in and get the plans. I execute my plan and begin making stealth and athletic checks, making my way over to the other window. Suddenly, an NPC walks by to Gylfi. Hey, I'm the captain of the guard. You seem like a fine lady. Would you like to see something interesting? Why, yes I would, playing along. He takes her into the room before I get there. Oh, and while I'm still actively scaling the building, he brings her over to the freaking painting. Look at this painting. Incredible, isn't it? Oh, why yes it is. It looks so amazing and lifelike. That's not all. See, if you look through this special lens, you could see writing on it. And he gives her the freaking plans. For nothing. No checks. Nothing. That's dumb. So Gylfi completes the mission, not Soren. Sora walks back to the window, gets inside, slumps back to the party, and goes, "Cool guys, it's incredible that you managed to get the plans. We didn't even need the code reader that was given to me to get the plans. Isn't that great?" From then on, I was done. We finished the arc, fight the BBG. It was so lame and dumb. Why do you even fight the BBG? You should have, when you said you were done, you should have just quit right there, dude. That was the moment to just be like, guys, I'm gone. Let me just pack up my things and I'm just out of here. Sorry, DM, you suck. This sucks. This is terrible. I'm out of here. Hope I never see you again. And just leave. You don't have to stay there. You can leave. You should have left early on. But that specific moment, that breaking moment right then and there, when you talk to the rest of the party members saying, "Cool guys, I had to do all that. I didn't even have to. We got the objective completed even though I was the one tasked for it. Isn't that great?" That was the moment to leave, because why'd you even stay for the BBG and everything else for the finish of the arc? You don't owe it to anybody to finish this arc. This arc sucks, dude. This whole thing sucks. It was so lame and dumb that I don't even care to describe it. The campaign ended. We said our goodbyes to our characters, and then I began DMing my own campaign. Now for the good ending, we had a falling out down the line where the DM revealed how much of a crappy person he was and how much he disliked me, my character, and my DMing style, all out in the open in front of all our friends. From there, he was kicked and everyone blocked him. He had no friends left from his entire time DMing our table. He's alone somewhere, probably subjecting more green players to more horrors. But I hope in earnest he learned from the experience and just stopped altogether and never DM'd again. That's my story. Hope you enjoyed it. If everyone from the time finds me, I hope you experience the same catharsis once again, leaving that terrible, terrible table and man behind. If people are interested, I could also regale about our first campaign at the table, where other horrors occurred, where this time me and another player character were almost assaulted. But till then, I bid you adieu. Yikes. Yeah, I don't want to hear about that one unless it's another RPG horror story. I don't know. If you want to share it, you're more than welcome to. But this DM sucks. I'm glad there was a positive outcome in this, but you should have left so early on, guys. No D&D is better than bad D&D. And if your DM can't even bother to do anything with your player character because they hate you for whatever reason, or hate your guts, or hate your player character, just don't play with that DM. If you can't resolve this thing with the DM, for whatever reason they have a weird complex against you or your player character or both, just don't play with them. Don't play with antagonistic DMs that don't want you at their table. Only play with DMs that actually want to have fun together, not just exclusively only have some people to have fun at the table. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.